Okay, and welcome back, everybody, to the Mystic Syndicate. I am Brian, and this evening we are not playing Dungeons and Dragons, but we are talking Dungeons and Dragons. And tonight I am here with Russ, who plays Yarn. I am not going to try to pronounce his Icelandic name because, number one, I would never be able to do it justice. My language abilities are definitely not that. But I will let Russ talk about that. Russ, thank you very much for coming on this evening and continuing our interview series. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was so nice to get a chance, and a lot of times I don't really get a real good chance to sit down and talk with players one on one to get a little bit more insight. So it's really nice that you get a chance to come on and sit down and we can get to know each other better and also find out a little bit about your background and history when it comes to tabletop role playing games.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know you saw Ed's interview.
Indeed.
Okay, and that was a good first interview. I was like, okay, all righty, we'll see how this plays out. I just definitely wanted to make sure that, and I'm so looking forward to getting a chance to meet the others and see how they do. Maybe the next one we can grab Melinda and have her come on and chat. I think I would love to be able to talk with her. All right, so you ready for some questions?
Oh, absolutely. But
Okay.
first, let me tell you how to say the name.
Yes, please.
Jarngrimr Ulfarvathr Haldursson. Jarngrimr, it means iron mask, and it's a normal Icelandic name. Toffarmathr is a Icelandic word for wizard, sorcerer, magic user. And Haldursson, of course, is the patronymic saying son of Haldur.
See, we're learning stuff here every day. I mean, that is really awesome. So, then my first question, and especially when it comes to that,
Mhm.
so do you speak Icelandic, or is this a something you're learning, or you've kind of grown up with?
I well, it's a progression. Uh, I kind of collect languages. I speak English, obviously, uh, and have some level of ability in Russian, French, German, uh, and Norse, not necessarily Icelandic, but Norse. They're very similar. They're different. Their sounds are much different, but they're very similar. And I can get my ass kicked in Spanish, Korean, and Japanese, and Arabic. So,
Okay. Okay, this is good. This is good to know. All right,
so
over the past year since we've been playing, I've kind of figured out, or was kind of suspecting that you were definitely a polyglot sort of individual who has picked up smatterings of things all over the place and probably continue to study these sort of
the only ones I really have studied were French, German, and Russian. Well, and English, of course, but uh, I learned the Russian. The army taught me how to speak Russian. French I learned in high school, and during, as a matter of fact, during Desert Storm, that was the language I used the most. Why? Because the French Foreign Legion would not translate their reports to us.
okay. All
So I was
right.
translating reports. And the German, I've lived in Germany for 8 years.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So, how long have you actually been playing tabletop role playing games?
Since 8th grade. Uh, there are four of us: me, Carl, Doug, and Joe. Joe's brother Bill was in the Navy, and he came home from the Navy when we were in the 8th grade, and he brought home the original brown box, and
Ooh.
we started playing with that. Well, we were playing at it. I mean, my first character was a gold dragon, and we had a really good time with that. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, like some of the things were like, okay, I fly down the corridor 40 feet. Well, the quarter ended 20 feet before that, so this is kind of painful for you. So, so anyway, the we did that, and then we collected the books for first edition, and that was a lot of fun. We really took to that better than the originals because it seemed to be a more concise system. The system, you had all of the rules, and I'm a type of a person that I like to know the rules. I like to know where I'm operating in. What are my parameters? And it was just a better system for us. We also played Traveler, uh, Iron, Iron Crown Enterprise, all of their stuff that came out. We would hack and slash the different games and put them in our D&D game. So, um, because at one time we decided that we didn't like the Vancian magic that D&D was using. We used spell points and that didn't work, or mana points, and we just kind of played around with all sorts of different stuff being thrown into the game. Um, but yeah, and that was junior high and high school, and then I went to college for 2 semesters and decided I needed to get out of town before my grades showed up. So I joined the army and played all except for during basic training, which was kind of hard to do because I was busy doing other things. Uh, at the language school, at my military specialty school, and of course at my duty stations. As a matter of fact, I met Ed and Albie at my first duty station, 501st MI Battalion in Germany. They didn't show up till I was about ready to leave. We only had about a 9 to 10 month overlap, but we Ed and I played games together, and I introduced him to the SCA, which is something else I've done for many years. Uh, and that's it. I mean, I've been playing off and on ever since then.
Okay, so we're looking at 40 plus years of some
I'm not
of
that old.
gaming.
Thank you.
Well, I figure if you've been, yeah, you've okay. All right, I'm not going to pry that far into it. All righty. So, what would you say your favorite game system is?
Oh, it's first edition D&D. Uh,
Okay.
I also have a love for a couple of other systems. Traveler. I love the fact that you can make a character and he dies at the end. Playing the game is kind of problematic. I enjoy it, but the best thing about Traveler is making the characters. Uh, and there's also another game called Harnmaster. Uh, that was an interesting group. We did that in Germany too. Ed may have mentioned it on his interview. Uh, it's skills based, and the skills are based on uh, your strength, your endurance, and other things. And once you figure out that endurance is the single most important stat that you can ever have, things work out much better.
All right. Okay. So, as far as fantasy worlds go, what would you consider your favorite is?
Lithia, which is the world that goes with Harn. And Harn is a game by Columbia Games. It came out in the early 80s, and I didn't find it till about 84, 83, 84, 85. But it's a complete world. It's got it's it's less fantasy related than Greyhawk and Mystara or Forgotten Realms. Um, but it's got all of the cultures and how they interact, and it's just I just enjoyed it.
Good. Okay. So this one is completely off the. So how are you enjoying playing with your wife as a teammate?
Great.
Great. Have you
Yeah.
played? Have you played as a team before?
Uh, Not really. Uh,
Oh,
no. She and I haven't gamed together, except for this campaign. Or there were two game. We had a different campaign in 22 that we were playing. That was fifth edition, and it was good. We had some issues with um, what we wanted to do and what the dungeon master wanted to do. So um, we decided that was it. And she'd come into that group, but we'd only played like two sessions for that. So,
yeah,
but no, I'm enjoying it. We're not in the game. We're not a team.
that is true. You're on. Well, at least you're on the same side. It's not that you're
We're on the
working
same
against
side,
each other. That is
right?
true.
Yeah. It's not a. It's not a. Oh, this is my wife, and she's going to support me in everything I do, and even the stupid stuff. So,
Well, that was so funny. I was actually listening to some of our older streams, and there are
uh,
times when she is just needling you. It'd be like, "Oh, that was really good." She's being extremely sarcastic, and I'm like going, "All right, this is cool.
have
I
you
love
met
this."
Melinda? I,
I think it was when you use the chromatic orb in the Rushmores to fight the trolls, and you blew up the.
that was not. That was not chromatic orb. That was fireball. That was a
Oh, there's.
cantrip.
And I was like laughing so hard because she was like going, "Oh, hey, what are you gonna do this time? Blow us up some more?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that is too funny." Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's often that you see a lot of times when you have husband and wives, girlfriends and boyfriends playing, they seem to, but you and Melinda just, it's like a totally separate units, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I have no clue, but it's good. I think it's a good it's a good dynamic. I have to say.
I mean, that's why I married her.
Yeah. So, no, 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 how long have you and Melinda been together, married?
22 years.
22 years. That's wonderful.
22. Yeah.
22. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my missus just celebrated 33.
Well, congratulations. Now,
Yeah.
after we get done with this, I'll tell you another story about that. But I'm not saying that where
Okay.
it's on.
That's fine. Alrighty. So here's one of my favorites. So, what do you think has been the worst thing that has happened in the campaign so far?
The worst thing.
Yeah.
How the hell did I get to Bissell? It took me 4 sessions to come to terms of why the hell am I here?
Okay, that's my fault. I should have
Oh,
probably been a lot more clear on backgrounds and how people got to where. I had most people covered,
mhm.
but yours was one that was so. I
Out
gotta
there.
say, it was different. I mean, like Kelix and Grenna were easy.
Mhm.
Kippy was a little bit harder, but then I was able to tie him in with his uncle Angus. Um, Ed's character, Tomas.
Mhm.
Well, it was Toby at first. Toby was that was weird. That was a totally alien situation. I had to like really pick my brain on how I was going to fit him in. And
Mhm.
then you show up, and I'm like, how? How is this possible? Thank goodness you're playing a wizard,
Mhm.
and wizards are always looking for more knowledge. And I thought
Mhm.
knowledge is the way to pull that in,
Mhm.
but it was just weird. Uh,
Mhm.
still,
No, that fit my character perfectly. So yeah, that I'd have to say that was the worst thing. I mean, and that's just from a personal level. Yeah, as far as party wise, uh, we've survived, so it's not bad.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, there has been some times where it looked pretty grim for you guys, but for the most
For
part,
me, I could have run because I hate to say it, but I've only taken damage like 5 times total.
well, that's good. Hey, a lot of people can't say that. Kellex can't say that.
Oh no, 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 no,
or
no.
or Kiffy for that fact. Alrighty. So what do you think has been the funniest thing that has happened in game so far?
Oh, that's got to be the Hydras and the Rushmores. I'm going. We're sitting in this swamp, and yeah, there's a smell. Okay, fine, there's a smell. I don't care. Swamps stink, you know. And we've got this multi-headed snake dragon thing, and I'm going. Well, it sounds like a Hydra. Well, let's tell you what. I'm going to hit it with something with fire and see if that works. And then it goes boom, and the boats go boom, and our hirelings go boom, and
Yeah, that was actually when you did it, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, all right, it's party time, and it was like I placed these hints out there. I'm like, going, hey, there's this funky smelling gas that's been accumulating on the surface of the swamp, and you're like, yeah, flame strike, yeah.
I'm
Like,
a fire mage. Yeah, well,
boom.
that's what we
Yeah,
do.
yeah. It's your verb. I mean, it's what you
Right.
do. Alrighty. So, who is your favorite character teammate and why?
Okay, I'm going to get into the why first.
Okay.
Um, I try to play my character as neutral good, as trying to make sure that everything is the best for everybody. Sometimes we follow the rules, sometimes we don't follow the rules, and as long as you know what the rules are, you can break them. It's that works. But I'd have to say that based on that, there are two, and it would be Kellex and Kiffy, because they are the ones that are looking more towards the group or to a larger thing than themselves. Um, some of the other characters, uh, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And some of them do some things that I'm going, yeah, that's gonna hurt us, and it's just not so. But there's not a favorite. It's a continuum of behavior and where they are. But Kellex and Kiffy are more alike than anything else.
Okay. That's very good. Yeah. Um, I would say probably one of my most favorite moments between you and Timble were when you were meeting with, um, I believe you were meeting with Raven for the first time, and he opens up the pouch and he has literal fragments of Toby, and you're like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "All right, this is good. This is good role playing here." Because I mean, you were like, "What are you doing? You literally have his body, right?" I was like, "Oh Lord." That was good.
That was entertaining.
Yeah. So, okay, now here's the flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the characters that you're playing with, who is your least favorite?
Well, and I'm
Once
not going
again,
to. It's on the continuum.
yeah,
Some days Timble is going, aha. But some days it's Tomas, and once in a while it's Kellex.
that's
But it's continuing. The thing is, I consider the party as a party, as the group as a party, as the group as a entity. And if I didn't like these people, I wouldn't be with these people.
of
So,
course understandable. That makes sense. Okay, so what has been your greatest challenge in the game, if any?
are you talking about me as a player or as the character?
Let's go as the player. Other than, of course, you not understanding what your true role was until 4 sessions in.
Well, that's character.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's character. Okay,
that was
so
character. That was not the player. I'm with the group. We're doing this. I just
yeah,
Um, biggest challenge, fifth edition. Uh, it's not my favorite edition, and sometimes and going through it and looking at it, and I'm going, okay, okay. There are some things that I like about it. There's a lot of it that the biggest thing that I don't like about it is there's no sense of danger. I mean, or a limited sense of danger. First edition, I mean, I've never had a character get as high as this in first edition. Or correction, mage get as high as this level as we are now in first edition. We usually die off before that. Um, and that's because we reacted poorly to whatever challenge there was. Um, in fifth edition, we fought a vampire and several vampire spawn at what, fourth level, fifth level, because I
I
had
think it was
fireball.
fifth level. Yeah.
Fifth level. And I didn't think we were coming back from that, but we didn't lose anybody. We didn't lose anybody. We didn't lose, and nobody. Well, other than Kellex, who went up and down and up and down and up and. We really didn't. I mean, it was less dangerous, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And
I,
I think that's a factor of the game system as opposed to the game, because I'm very pleased with the game.
so I agree with you. It is very forgiving, especially the rules on death and dying in the game. Where, like you said, first edition, if you fell to zero, you were that was it. It was game kind of over. So, uh,
It was a -10,
was
but
it
you were losing
negative
one,
10?
but you were losing one every round.
Yes, which lent to people rolling characters pretty often.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, if you got to higher levels or something like that, you were extremely lucky and fortunate.
yep.
Where with fifth edition, I do believe that it is set so lenient
Mm-hmm.
that it just kind of lends itself. So I guess people will not be upset if they lose a character. I mean, of course, back when we were playing, like in the 80s, and, it was like, oh, okay, it's just another character. We mark it deceased. And then it's like, because a lot of times it was very fun just to roll up a new character.
Yeah,
I remember having binders full of characters. I would never get to play, but I loved rolling them up and coming up with neat stories. It fueled a creativity, and I'm sure you understand this as well. I hope a lot of people, viewers, also agree. I still have friends who love to roll up characters, guys our age and things like
mm-hmm.
that, and it was fun. Now, it's like, oh, okay, oh, here's your character. It'll, I mean, geez, you have so many chances to come back. Um, there is no real sense of, like you said, danger
Mm-hmm.
or finality. Um,
And,
yeah,
and,
no, I agree.
and look what they did to the undead.
Oh,
I mean, the undead in first edition, you didn't mess with undead. You ran.
you ran. Yeah.
I mean, when a white hits you, you lose 2 levels.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, most characters I know back in those days, if it was a white, we ran like hell because there
Mm-hmm.
was, because to be touched by one, it was literally, it
Yeah,
was, yeah, you weren't coming, there's a good chance you weren't coming back from that.
indeed.
So, okay. So, if you could change your character's race and class, what would it be and why?
It would be human, or dwarf.
Aren't you human?
I am human. It would be a human or a dwarf.
Okay.
Uh, uh, it, it, uh, I gravitate to both those races. Um, and honestly, if if Yarn was deceased, um, I'd either do another spellcaster, wizard of some type, because that's I enjoy that. Being the wizard is my happy space in gaming. Um, or I would be a dwarf uh, fighter cleric.
Okay, that's cool. All righty. So of pretty much of all races, you're pretty much saying that yeah, dwarves and humans are probably your go-to races.
Mhm.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
now
that's
I've played others. When I was much younger, my go to was a half elf. But as I've done other things, I identify more with the humans and the dwarves.
okay.
Something about something about the beard.
Oh. Okay, so as far as how do you feel about how the campaign has progressed to this time?
The campaign, it's got a lot of moving parts, and I'm sure we haven't helped that, uh, because we'll go da da da, ooh, and take a right turn and go do something else for a while.
Right.
Um, it's been enjoyable. Uh, there have been sessions where I really, really enjoyed things, and there have been sessions where I'm going, can we move on to something else, please? Anything else? The interactions between Melda and Kellix, and I'm sitting here going, twiddling my thumbs.
Okay.
But that was part of the campaign, and it moved things along.
Yeah.
There are people in the group that enjoy the intrigue and the politics and that kind of stuff. I can take that or leave it. Um, I prefer combat. I mean, because if you look at my spells, almost all of them are geared towards combat
Right.
or communication, which is part of combat. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, and but as far as the campaign itself, I've enjoyed it.
Good. Okay. That always makes me feel better when I know that you all are having at least a good time. That's the important part about, of course, I believe gaming in general. If you're not having a good time, then why do it?
Indeed.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I just got finished with a campaign. I finally put it to bed. It was a local campaign, and I was miserable. I've been miserable for about a year playing this campaign, and I was the DM. Everybody else was having a blast, and I'm just like, oh, I just want to. I just and then finally it came to a conclusion, and when I walked away from it, I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But I can definitely tell you that I have not ever came away from one of our sessions feeling like that. There's been times when I've ran upstairs to tell my wife something that you all did. And she is just like going, oh my gosh, they did what? And I'm like, yeah. She went, those people are crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but it's cool. That's cool. Totally down with it. Alrighty. So at the conclusion of The Princess of Celene,
Mhm.
would you consider signing up for another campaign if I DM'd it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
I prefer a different system than fifth edition, but absolutely.
And that is something that we're definitely. I was talking with Ed about, and I
Mhm.
wanted to talk with everyone about eventually moving away from that, from
Mhm.
fifth edition and that system, and also a lot of the Wizards of the Coast in general. There
Mhm.
are so many other wonderful systems out there. I mean,
Mhm.
just that I think would lend to our to your group, our party,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited about making the switch.
Mhm.
Um, uh, so that. I'm glad to hear you say that. That's awesome. Yes. So, um, is there anything you would like to add before we close up shop this evening?
Yeah, there is, and this is to all the other party members. Uh, Go ahead and get your interviews done. Come on, quickly now. Let's do it. Uh, Remember, it's a game. I enjoy each and every one of you, and that includes you. Uh, and never take what happens in the game as something that's real. Now, after saying that, I'm going to set them all on fire and.
Oh my gosh. That's good. No, wise advice. Definitely. People just need to. It is just a game.
Mhm.
We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy each other's strengths, weaknesses, faults. And all of it comes wrapped up in. That's the
and make
important part.
and
And I,
make fun of it.
and make fun of it. And I think it's so nice is that even though we all come from different parts of the country, that we have a common bond in gaming.
Mhm.
And most of our group that have a common bond in military service, which is unbelievably wonderful. This is the first time. Actually, no, it's not the first time that I've ran a veterans heavy group. Um, but it's been the first one where I actually streamed a veteran heavy group.
Mhm. Well, we all speak the same language.
Yeah,
Even Mike. I mean, even though he was Navy,
yeah,
we still speak the same language.
yeah. That is true. Okay, so folks watching at home, thank you all very much for hanging out with us this evening. We've been here with Russ, talking about gaming, talking about the Princess of Celene, talking about what we like and what we have, but we've had issues with within and outside the game. And thank you all for watching and taking the time. Russ, thank you very much for coming on this evening and chatting with me about your history with tabletop role playing, as well as our shared interest in this wonderful hobby that we love and can't see ourselves never doing. So I was telling a friend of mine, I said, I could easily see one or most of us being in, if we ended up in some sort of old folks home, that we would be playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Indeed.
Yeah,
And thank you for having me on and providing us a platform for doing this.
you're most welcome. All right, folks, you all have a great evening. Russ, thank you again. And we will chat with you all on Thursday when we actually are playing. We do have a game coming up this Thursday night at 7 p.m. It is episode 35. Is it 35? Yeah, it's 35. So, um,
And we leveled up. Yay!
and we leveled up. Yes. Yeah, I had to get onto some people about that. I was looking at the thing going, wait, hold on, I got a lot of level eights here. Why are there level eights in my group? Uh, but Yarn wasn't one of them. It was Ed. It was freaking Ed.
I did that before we signed off.
I know probably most of you did. All right, folks. Thank you all again, and have a good evening.